How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Come on in. Come on in. Hope everybody had a great holiday season. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? What's up, Jaquez? What's up, Nisha? Y'all feel free to comment. Uh, give people a little while longer to log in, and then we're gonna get started. Hey Pam, what's up, Bogan? Yeah. Hope everybody had a blessed holiday. I did. Um, had a birthday. Haha. Blessed to see another year, so I'm thankful for that. Uh, we're gonna go ahead and get started. For those that don't know, Selena, hey, good to see you, sis. Hope all is well. Pam, what's going on, little sis? I appreciate y'all. Um, for everyone who's new to the show, uh, I am BMAC, and I'd like to give a quick background on how the show started. A few months back, I was going through my own personal struggles, and I say God, and I feel like God spoke to me and said, "Hey, you should do something. You should do like a podcast, IG live, what have you." And I immediately kind of rejected it and was like, "Man, I don't know anything about that." But I was talking to a friend of mine about it, and her response to me was, because I didn't feel like I was qualified. Her response to me was, "I was qualified because I was going through it." And I took that as confirmation. I was like, you know what, God, I guess this is what you want me to do. So guess what? I'm gonna step out on faith and do it. And that was September, I want to say. So we're 4 or 5 months into it now. So we're blessed to still be here, and I'm extremely thankful for each and every person that supports me. Uh, and I hope that this blesses someone in some shape, form, or fashion, because everybody needs to know that this is a safe space. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to feel bad, feel sad, but you're gonna get through it. And I like to bring different people on to kind of give you resources to help you during these tough times. Um, Today, I have a good friend of mine and fraternity brother who's coming to us all the way from the West Coast. And I'm extremely appreciative for him taking time out of his day. And we're going to talk about today's topic, which is, you know, what to do when you feel like you lost all hope. And I think this is critical that we have these discussions. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in uh, my brother and good friend, James Lancaster. Bird.
How you doing? How's everybody doing out there?
Good, bro.
Good evening, depending on what coast you on. Thank you.
Right. Bro, listen, this definitely not a problem. I really appreciate you. And I know we've been trying to make this work for about a month or so, trying to get schedules together. So I appreciate you finally being able to us being able to coordinate this. So give us a brief breakdown of what it is that you do.
So I am a marriage and family therapist, Board of Behavioral Sciences of California. Um, I have an array of expertise in not only individual therapy, marriage and family therapy, consultation, and crisis hospital. Um, Providing psychoeducation to any individual that's open to be able to understand the mental health world works, as well as just day-to-day life. Currently, I'm a consultant for law enforcement when it comes to mental health. He knows that this was the push for the United States in order to have mental work alongside law enforcement. Although I have been doing this past 7 years. So new, it's just, being brought more attention to social media, but behind the scenes, it has been something that's been influential. Myself as being an African American Black male that do this job.
Right. And I had a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and I was telling him what you do, and because I'm in law enforcement, I know that there's a greater need for it than what people even realize, because law enforcement officers are not qualified or equipped to handle the mental aspects of some of those calls. And people think that it's a one size fits all type job, and it's not. There's a reason that you went to school and did those extra years to learn those expertise. So you can't just put somebody in, say, hey, here's a gun and a badge, here, go handle this call where somebody's in emotional distress.
And that's one of the most important pieces when it comes to service, is that what we do is we officers and deputies in order to be able to respond and work with the public. So there are, in the county that I work in, there are 26 agencies. Out of those 26 agents, there are 5 mental health officers, and the rest of the agencies have that are our points of contact. All of these individuals meet with me at least 4 times a month for meetings, as well as I'm working on a basis. It could be from email, text message, face to face, you name it. There's a lot of efforts that are being put into assuring that we have some be a point of contact depending on any crisis that is happening. The goal is to expand. I have had fortunate to have opportunities to consult outside of the county. I have been on the East Coast. I have been down south. Was that down south was in Mississippi, in Louisiana. Up on the East Coast, I was in Philadelphia. There have been new opportunities for me as well, where I've been privileged to attend association school, so I can understand how law enforcement think as well. Future goals for myself, you're an analyst for the FBI. It's kind of like the stuff that you see on TV. So that would be for the future.
Okay, that's what's up. I to say the least, I'm very proud of you. We go way back. Everybody out here, they don't know that, but we go way back. So I'm really proud of you and the growth that that I see. But I wouldn't have never doubted any less, because you're more than capable. So and I see you still doing great things in the future. So with what we,
I said about hope, and Terrell would be probably one of the most influential individuals that can understand the growth that I had from being a young man as a teenager to now becoming an adult. So if anybody can testify.
Most definitely. So let's get into it. How would one identify the signs that they're out of control?
Find the signs that they are out of control are based on behaviors. Give you the clinical terms, then I'll give you the breakdown, layman's terms. The way that we look at it from the clinical side is called decompensation, which is somebody being out of control. I can't write out of control on a document or
right.
So they're decompensating. They're in the community that they live in, their neighborhood. What they're doing is they're doing things that are out of their norm.
Mhm.
I mean, being occasional drinkers, they're drinking more.
Mhm.
Are they showing up to them? How is their
Mhm.
behavior in their work field, school, or wherever it is they have with their families? Are they isolating away from everyone else? Be more
Mhm.
social. And also,
Mhm.
I'm very interactive when I do kinds of podcasts or training. So if
Mhm.
anybody had that they would like to state as far as when people out of control in their communities, put it in the chat as well. A lot of escalating behaviors is being very aggressive, becoming with their family members or their friends,
Mhm.
uh, behavior, things that they wouldn't do normally. Um,
Mhm.
there's a lot of things that you take and you have to see how an
Mhm.
individual was, and it is based off of a lot of the information that comes from family and friends as well.
Right.
So I rely on outside information to get in order to be able to understand an individual and what they are.
Got you. Okay. If we've got an individual, say for instance, and they've began to look at themselves and evaluate that they are decompensating, um, what should they do if they're not quite at a breaking point, but they feel themselves begin to decompensate slash feel out of control? What should they do?
So that's more so they would need to reassess the situation.
Mm-hmm.
When people are out of control, it's because of something that has been triggered. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes media, maybe they went up for a
Mm-hmm.
position that they didn't receive.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there was a death in the family. There was some form of life change that altered, which enabled them to say, "But I just can't do it anymore." When a
Mm-hmm.
person gets to that point, that's the reevaluation stage. Evaluation, they have to look at, is what I'm saying, is it correct?
Mm-hmm.
It's a thought that's really actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
What I like to get a thought process. And
Right.
negative thought process is pretty much what a clinical term would be: cognitive behavioral therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Provides psychoeducation
Mm-hmm.
in order to be able to understand the reality and what they are doing, and then
Mm-hmm.
being able to disassociate that negative that they have. So this would be
Okay.
more so of them making a statement saying, or I'm losing hope. I'm having anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
That they didn't do this position because
Mm-hmm.
maybe they just didn't like. Those would be
Mm-hmm.
questions, and then I would respond with asking them questions as far as, well, how did that really make you feel? And they say,
Mm-hmm.
I was having, after that I went and I isolated in a room. And then
Mm-hmm.
you ask them, well, have they anxiety before? Oh no, I never had anxiety
Mm-hmm.
before. But okay, well, let's test, right? So I'll do
Right.
reality testing right there with the individual.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell
Okay.
them, go run up and down the stairs. Let's see if you have an anxiety attack,
Right.
right? Run up and I see you still breathing normally. You're all right. Maybe a little out of wind because maybe you haven't ran upstairs. So we start testing things.
Mm-hmm.
We test the hope
Mm-hmm.
as well. Um, when you're
Mm-hmm.
testing someone's hope, you ask them, what are your qualifications for the position that you apply for? Is there any room we'll be able to assist you?
Mm-hmm.
Who do you trust? Is there a friend
Mm-hmm.
that you can have a conversation with? Is there a colleague? Is there a person that was on that team, or what, so that you would be able to have a discussion on what you need to do in order to reapply and then be a good candidate for that position.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more so the testing as well as being able to walk them through, you know, you there are alternatives. There are always other positions. There are always other jobs, you to strive as well. You want to rebuild the confidence, and you build them up so that they never go back down. And that's when someone is other times when people lose hope. It's like a, a, it's this or that, of where there's no return. A lot of people use it as a fear tactic, or a fear of the unknown, and that's where the gets lost at, because they don't understand what's going to happen next.
Got you. All right, we have our first question. Selena says, "What do you do when you have an adult family member that's manic and doesn't recognize or admit that they are having a mental breakdown and are in need of inpatient care?" Which is close to the other question that I was just about to ask you. How can family and friends help when they observe things like this? So I'll let you take it from there.
So the first and foremost is a family or friend should be educated what's happening in the manic state, and those are your local resources that you have within the a lot of times people don't know who to call, don't contact, have no information. They're limited on probably one of the most number one primary issues that we see basis. When someone is in a mixed state, the most important things is to assess whether it's substance induced or mental illness. That would be probably one of the most beneficial things in unphased. If they're normal in the morning, but they become manic, they become out of control, then it's possible substance induced, because as the day goes along, usually at nighttime or vice versa, they sleep all day and then they're up all night. It's going to be so that would be the one primary. Then had any psychiatric medications, if they've been on any psychiatric medications, and the combination of that with any substances, or if they are not taking those at the moment, that would be very important information. This would be information that you would want to share with whoever's area, region, city, to provide this to the local law enforcement, the local psychiatric services team, or if you call any of the for crisis situations. This, whoever answers the phone, be able to evaluate to say we need to send someone out, or maybe some additional help by providing you these resources. If they're in need of inpatient, the family member or the friend providing the most important, being able to contact any of these entities during a situation and explain. What I find is that family and friends are not able to explain and what exactly is happening, but they're able to incidents. And what I tell this is that if they provide me exactly what's going on, let me determine whether it's a psychiatric emergency, if diagnosis, or anything else. Because if they're in the home, they're being aggressive, they're talking to themselves, they're seeing things, they're saying that spaceships are outside by tasers, or anything else, that they're having delusions. I'm not going to say they're normal, but it's a norm for some delusions sometimes. What happens is if those can cause anyone else any harm, that's we can work on getting an inpatient. And that's out the United States. It's not just in a local area or the state of California. If someone to themselves or anyone else, or they have a potential to cause harm, then kind of areas that you want to look in of what is the potential, and explaining that to them. And that's how they would be able to be assessed. There was a situation that happened in Talladega, Alabama, maybe about 5-7 years ago, where an individual went into the home. He put a cast iron pot on his mother's head, and then the dad came in. He ended up wrestling with them, and then ended up, shooting the dad. From that point, the individual was arrested, but then sent for inpatient care. I consulted with that family to be able to assist with more long-term care. Who ended up returning back to the community and is currently stable from the last family. So a lot of things happen, and sometimes there's a lot that happen, or incidents that lead up to it. But we were able to, kind of direct this family to the services that they needed.
Awesome. Let's see here. What can someone say or do if they see a person that's showing signs of hopelessness or emotional distress? Say, for instance, this is a coworker or a friend of mine. What should I immediately do if I see someone exhibiting those signs of hopelessness or emotional distress? Because you said the lack of education is the biggest thing. Us people not knowing. So what is it? What are some of the first steps? What should I do? Should I immediately just try to talk them down, or should I just what should I do next?
Well, a friend or a colleague should always with a caring, a care to it, not labeling anyone and saying, "Well, I see that you're not feeling well," or "I see that things going well today." More so is how do you feel about going to lunch today, or how about going to grab a cup of coffee? That's gonna the state that they're in. If they're willing to follow, that means that you're one step in the door to more so having a detail. Sometimes maybe not in the office. Hey, go take a walk. You go walk. Maybe a walk, endorphins. Maybe they may feel a little bit better and express more. If they're unwilling and you kind of see that that's not there, then you kind of want to keep an eye on them to check continuous basis. So are they using their phone? Are they isolating? Do you see them getting the gum? Are they taking smoke breaks? Are they drinking too much caffeine? What is her to say that I feel like this person is losing hope? These are the behaviors that are happening then what about something happens at the job to where if they're already losing hope, then they've been sent home from the job, then who's going to actually happen? And they get in a vehicle, they get home, they're still feeling hopeless. Now they don't have anyone. So it's kind of more so of stay with them in the moment. So if you stay and more or less, they're going to come out of the shell and be able to explain what the current situation is, when hope is, lost.
Awesome. And again, because the average person probably would have approached them like, "Hey, are you okay?" And based on what I've just learned in my journey, that's the most, that is probably the wrongest thing you can do because they tend to feel attacked versus just being there for that person and kind of helping them de-escalate just by being a supportive person there with them, not talking about it, if allowing them to initiate whatever it is that they want to discuss.
Yeah, and most of the time when people are hopeless, there's going to be a form of cry for help. Sometimes we miss it, as just being friends, family, or colleagues. You kind of, having a bad day, or, something has happened. So you have to be more aware as well of you. A lot of times when people are in manic situations, that's a cry for help, but they don't explain themselves at the time. They're having an episode, their reality. I had one where I was throwing pots and pans at vehicles, that were parked, and it was his way of expressing him. So, by the time the calls came in, law enforcement responded, hiding, it was escalated. He started throwing knives out and toasters and different type of things.
Right.
But it was a cry for help. As soon as he heard my voice, his tune changed. He did yell, and then he walked out. And I approached him right after the incident, and I said, "Hey, man, I'm gonna follow you to the hospital. We're gonna work on this together." And he took his head and did this to me.
Okay.
And that was it, But he was in a manic episode. He was dangerous, he didn't believe his family was there. I talked to him on the phone the first time he threw the phone off the balcony. It was over. After the end of it, some form of reality, and he remembered me. I followed up with him maybe about 2 days later, and he exactly who I was.
Awesome. So, just for me to recap from my personal knowledge, in an event I'm dealing with someone that I know that may be experiencing an episode similar to that, first thing is not to directly approach them about what I perceive the issue is. It's just to initiate a calm conversation with them, and probably let's say, hey, let's take a walk, let's go get some coffee, just to change their environment and just try to help bring them to a sense of ease, and simultaneously de-escalating wherever they are.
Yep. And even if they don't de-escalate, they're able to talk to you a little bit more, where you're able to get more information just in a situation, but they do have someone with them in that situation at the time.
Okay. And you've kind of spoken on this already, but what type of events or situations can cause a person that sense of hopelessness? Because
most of the areas it starts with depression. You become an event, maybe had a recent breakup, the loss of a loved one, animal, there's a lot of things that become hopeless, but when they but when you see the signs, and that the isolative, not engaged, those lead up to it. What happens prior to that can be significant, or it could be limited, and it's really based on how they perceive themselves. If they perceive themselves as, a regular person, they live a regular life, then, some of them cause one individual to feel this may not cause the other ones. If you live a life where maybe you're a real estate agent or you're an investor, lost everything, then you lose hope. Those are signs. During this pandemic, I think the call level for services increased about 3 times due to a lot of people losing their jobs. That was one of the biggest issues that I said. School teachers not really understanding how to the online teaching, with the virtual stuff. Doing, Alcohol Anonymous, virtually, and and they were drinking, causing relapses.
Mm-hmm.
The people that were just, told that they weren't going to return to work, they didn't know how to work with environment. They didn't know, they had the fear of the unknown at the time. Sometimes you if you don't know, then you're puzzled. That even happened, close, as well, where they weren't able to get an income, or they were just stuck in the house. They were told in California we had curfew. So with that being curfew at a certain time, a lot of people were like, "Oh, I'm restricted. I can't leave until 7 o'clock in the morning." It put a lot of unease, and those were signs of hopelessness. Even the moment with the new variant that's out, a lot of people still have that certain kind of thought process, because in our state, they have, pretty much limited access. And so a lot of people are going back, shelter in place, schools are getting shut back down, a lot of how things are going to move forward in their life. So those are signs of hopelessness, that it can be from a natural disaster to something in their life, that is more physical.
Okay, awesome. Now you just touched on something which I was toying with for a topic for another show. The effects of COVID on mental health, and I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do that yet. But what are some of what are some things that people can do just during this pandemic to kind of help keep their mental stability, if you will, with the new variants and the numbers starting to increase, to kind of keep them from having that sense of hopelessness, because the media sensationalizes everything in almost like a fear tactic of sorts. So, what are some things that people could do to kind of help them maintain?
Yeah. So I recently did training regarding this. Some healthcare providers that work with teens that were living in residential treatment facility. They were put on the shelter in place, so they've been in the home, and they have an array of issues, whether or mental health. Some of the things that we discussed was not bringing personal issues into it. So kind of belief regarding COVID, stick to wherever the mandates stay from OSHA. Pretty much how you kind of move forward with that is done. Well, I don't believe it's real. I believe it's real. They're right now, some people, they don't believe that COVID, then they catch it and they're like, well, I still don't believe it's real. And I'm like, well, it's kind of, reality, at that point, you can't really engage in a conversation with someone with that thought process.
Right. Someone who's rational.
Another of the things is social media, the media. I would not allow members in the home to continue watching the news if they're unable to and be able to assess it. I understand that, things every news makes statements and then they switch, then they go back. The best thing that you can do is on self, and that's your immunity. So what are you doing to keep yourself safe? What are you doing to keep are you doing physical fitness? Are you cooking? Are you engaging with your children to still get in that same kind of dialogue that they would get in the classroom?
Right.
Not isolated in front of a laptop all day, watch TV right after, or they're just laying in the bed. Those are a change in their day-to-day, in their behaviors that they get out. Go right up in that, we were doing when we were children, that when we didn't have all this and the TV where, the TV knob was this, it wasn't just a remote control.
Yeah, exactly. Got you.
It was more so getting back to the basics. And that's what I was telling a lot of it, is that what were you doing prior? How were you raised? And it all comes from, a cultural standpoint as well, is how you were raised.
Gotcha.
And then steps back that you were given from your grandparents, your parents, your aunts and uncles, and then being able to coming up with new projects that you can work on, as a unit with family or friends. So those are some things that to kind of stay during COVID is continuing some things that really uplift you, hopeful about yourself in your life, not what's going on, but what's going on.
Awesome. We have a question here. April says, can you make someone seek help that doesn't want it, but they really need help?
I get this question every day. So I get it. I want to say I get about maybe 2 to 3 calls every day, and let me rewind it. In the state of California, on anyone,
All right.
Which makes it in order to provide a service. Although in education to the family on how to information is essential, because what we do is we take a more of so someone definitely needs help. Like I have been out to in the community and see people that need help, but do they meet the criteria to go into a psychiatric hospital? That's where they may need assistance. Maybe it's alcohol and drug. Maybe it's mental health. Sometimes people don't know which one came first, the chicken or the egg. That is one of the expertise that I work in is figuring out one is whether it's a traumatic brain tract infection where it's medical or it's psychiatric. What form of help do they need? That's one that can evaluate for over a period of time and you keep it on the radar. I call them things that are happening. So that someone needs help. It's kind of more so monitoring what to say, why they need, because you have to be able to justify. And then if someone else sees, this meets all of the criteria and this person needs some additional, and now we can force it. It takes a few steps in order to get there. There are a lot of counselors that can walk you through, certain every state and county works a little bit different. So what the rules and regulations around, psychiatric inpatient hospitalizations are within the area and what are some of them are basic. I'm not sure what the welfare and institution code is for states, but in California for adults, it's a welfare institution code 50. For juveniles, it's a welfare and institution code 5585. That's just for an initial evaluation. That's for them to get in front of a doctor, a psychiatrist. Hey, we believe this person needs additional assistance. Then let's pass it to the professionals and let that to see if they need an additional inpatient, because there are a lot of steps in order to get to where see that help happen. Would have to use your community resources, and Terrell is going to be able to provide you that at some point during, so that you're able to make these calls and follow up and be able to give all of this information to them based on the loved one that needs some form of help.
Awesome. Yes, as you stated, those resources, I'm going to go in and post them in the chat group after this, so people can have access to them. And matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and say them before that. Let me get to them. You have disaster distress helpline, and that number is 1-800-985-5990. And again, that is disaster distress helpline. and they do substance abuse and mental health um, services administration. So that is Disaster Distress Helpline, and that number is 1-800-985-5990. They also do counseling. Let's see here. There's another one. Uh, National Alliance of Mental Health Illness. Let me get that number for you. Bear with me if I can find it. I don't see that number right here. I'm going to post that website because I can't find the number right now. And then, of course, there's a suicide prevention number that I'm going to post there as well. James, I really appreciate it. This, you don't realize what you don't know until someone explains it to you. And there was a lot of information that I didn't know about how to deal with someone who's in a manic situation or maybe feeling hopeless. Yeah, because like I said, my initial thought would have been to, to approach them and say, "Hey, you don't look like you're feeling well." And of course, now knowing that's going to back them into a corner versus making them want to just have a discussion with me or to begin to try to de-escalate. So I really appreciate you coming on and giving us this information. I would hope that we can bring you back at some point and further this discussion and probably a couple of others, because you are a wealth of information and knowledge. So I hope that we can bring you back again. I appreciate you, and I'm proud of you. We go way back, and I've seen the growth, and you should be proud of yourself because it's an impressive thing. I'm really proud of you, bro. And for those that don't know, he's my fraternity brother as well. So we go way back. It's not quite 20 years, but it's getting close to that. So it means he's getting old, not me. James getting old.
It actually has been 20 years. It's not 20 yet.
Right. Yeah, you're right. It is because when you were freshman. So yeah, good times. Selena wants your professional contact information.
I don't even, I'm on LinkedIn. I don't really have a lot of social media outlets. Stay reserved as much as possible just because a lot of the people that I do work with are in manic states. And a lot of them are, so I try to stay off a lot of social media platforms just to make sure that I remain safe in my family. But I do have a LinkedIn, and that would be James on LinkedIn. You would be able to see me. It'll be a mental health evaluation team for Contra Costa County in California. Also, I'm on it's consulting, so real_life_. Those would be the two ways of getting in contact with me.
Oh, she said to pass on to those that need help. What is your office number or your your address?
James Lancaster at cchealth.org. There's 925-391-97. Those are that's my work professional number for calls it, so it doesn't matter. As well as the email.
Is the email correct?
No dot after the CC. It's just work.
Okay, let me go back on. Let's see. Give me that number one more time.
925 391 4097.
All right. All right. That contact number and email address. James, again, I appreciate you. It's been a pleasure. I hope that someone's been able to get something from this. I hope this helps somebody. I know I've learned some stuff tonight from this. And I hopefully that you'll come back. Selena says thank you. Hopefully we can get you back again at some point.
Not a problem. I definitely working a lot of. That's just one of many. I do a lot of whether it be with adolescents, adults with mental illness, taken off the spectrum, as well as schooling. So there's a lot of as a lot, the expertise is more so within the forensic style. So that is with the criminal legal system. So that's in the courts, consulting with the DAs, public defenders, all law enforcement agencies, etc. So there's a lot, a lot of training that has been put in over the years to be able to the communities that we work in.
Wow. Well, we'll definitely talk offline and try to figure out what's the next topic we can present. But as always, thank you. And after each show, I always do a prayer. That's just because the Lord has blessed me, so I can't not keep him at the front of things. So I like to close out each show with a prayer. So if we could go ahead and we'll get a quick prayer, and we're going to close out for the night. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, Lord God. We thank you for your multitude of blessings. We thank you for allowing Brother Lancaster to bring us some very positive information to benefit those that are in need of it, Lord. Lord God, we thank you for the opportunities. Lord God, we're forever grateful for you, for all that you've done and all that you're going to do. Lord God, we ask that you bless each and every person that was part of this podcast tonight. Lord God, we ask that you bless them throughout the week and bless them and their families. In your son, Jesus' name, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Well, bro, thank you.
Thank you for having me on here.
Likewise, thank you for the time. We'll be in contact soon. I think you did an awesome job, which I knew that you would. And we'll definitely be talking soon about the next show.
All right. Yep. So just before I leave, as Terrell, made a prayer to be able to provide a service while we're here on every day that we're out doing, our day-to-day. We're only paying rent. That rent is what you get back is that you're providing to the people that are in the community.
I like that. That's powerful. Oh, KP said, good job. KP was on tonight. Okay.
What's up, DP?
You never know who's going to pop up on here, man. You never know who's going to pop up. KP, give me a call, man. But, hey, man, I appreciate you. Tell the wife I appreciate her allowing you to step away from whatever she may have needed you to do tonight to be on the cast. So, KP says, good seeing you. Stro. Appreciate you. Look, everybody wants to chime in now. Look, we definitely appreciate the support. It's always love when brothers come out to support you. But
yeah, definitely.
We will definitely be doing this again. Bro, I appreciate you, and y'all have a good night. Well, good technically it's afternoon out there, almost evening time, but I was about to say good night, but we'll talk soon, bro. I appreciate you, man.
You're welcome. And any given time, whatever you need from me, you got it.
Hey, most definitely, I appreciate it. Kanad, I love you too, cuz.